Hello, welcome to this tutorial. I'm Maurice Dimba, and today I'm going to show you how you can perform rebar detailing in AutoCAD using AutoRebar extension. Now, if you take a look on my screen, and if I switch back to home, you can see I have my AutoCAD toolbar or menu. So let me just switch back to AutoRebar. And here I have so many macros. I have ProSteel, I have AutoRebar, and I have A plus card. Now let me just show you this one first, the AutoRebar. Now we want to detail RC column, so we want to start right from the footing. Now we are going to use the combination of the normal AutoCAD commands and we mix it up with the AutoRebar command. This makes your work easier and more professional and speedy, and that is what required in your workplace. Now, let me just create a pad footing first, then we go ahead and detail that, then move to the RC column. Now, let me just press L on my keyboard and I press enter. So immediately I do that, I'll be able to now draw a line. I'll come here and I want to start defining the dimensions or the parameters of my pad footing. So I'm going to feed here 1.2 or 1200 millimeter, and I'll enter on my keyboard. I'll right click and come to enter. So I'll zoom this closer. I'll right click once again and repeat the same command. Click on that spot and I'll type in the same parameter 1.2. I'll right click and enter that. I'll right click and select this, right click and come to copy. This tutorial is very important for those who want to get some basics in AutoCAD. So this is more interesting. Let me pick on copy and I want to pick it from this spot and add it there. Right click and enter. Then I'll pick the top one, right click and come to copy and pick it from this spot and come here all the way and enter and snap it right here. So I'll terminate that command by right click. Come into right click and click enter. Now, if I mouse over this or select this, you can see these lines are selecting individually. So I want this to be one line or polyline. So what I'm going to do is select everything and come here and type join and enter on my keyboard. So if I mouse over this, you'll be able to see everything is getting selected. So I want to offset this by 100. I'll press O on my keyboard and enter. And I'll enter the offset distance. My offset distance will be 100 here. I'll enter that. So I'll select this and offset it inside. So this will be concrete. This will be the line for the concrete blinding, this one, the outer one, and this one will be the column base. So I want to offset the parameter for the column, for the concrete column itself. This is just the blinding and this is the column base, and now I want to offset the column itself. Now I'll come back to O and enter that on my keyboard, then type in an offset of 300 here, enter on my keyboard and select this and enter here. Right click. That's correct. So this is my column and this is my column base and this is my blinding line. So what I'm going to do, I want to start laying my pad or my footing rebar here first. So I'm going to use these tools under AutoRebar. So I'm going to pick on this. First of all, we have options here how you can set your parameters here. We have the units here in millimeters. We have the digits here. We have the scale, we have the rebars, we have the dimensions here. We'll go deeper details once we move to part 2. Now, briefly today I want just to show you how quickly you can do your rebar detailing in AutoCAD. Now, I'm going to close this and come to rebar here. Come to cross tie. I'm going to use cross tie to lay my pad footing rebar or footing rebar or column base rebar here. I'll click on that Then bring this closer, and I'll bring my cursor close to the edge of this. I'll assume my formwork space will be 40 millimeter. Then I'll snap on that spot, and prior to snapping here, you read at the bottom end here, command line here, you'll see you're being requested or being asked to feed in the appropriate diameter of a rebar. So I'm going to use rebar, R20. So I'll just go ahead and enter that, and specify hook diameter. I'll give it 20. Once again, I'll give it 20, and hook diameter 2, I'll give it 20 again. I'll click enter. So once I enter that, I'll come closer to this end and snap on that spot and move all the way to this end here and click on that spot. So once I've done that, I'll come here and select on that, and I want to mirror this far end. So what I'm going to do, I'm just coming here and mirror that. Right click and enter that. Imagine this, this is AutoCAD command, and these ones here are AutoRebar commands. So I want to lay this one. I've laid the top bars for the column base. I'll come here and do the same thing here. I'll enter my diameter, the rebar, 20 millimeter, the diameter of the steel bar. I'll enter that, and I'll start from that spot and terminate it there. That is not the right tool we intend to use, and I'll select that and delete and come to cross tie here. So I'll come here and feed in the rebar size. I want that to be 20 millimeter thick, and hook diameter 1, I'll enter 20, and hook diameter 2, I'll also enter 20. Now I'll come here and snap right there and move all the way to this far end here, and I'll snap it right there. So don't worry about that. You can always drag this or delete that and come here far end here and repeat the same thing. Enter that, enter that, and enter that, and snap there and snap here. There we have our rebar at the column base. I'll select that, come to mirror, and I want to mirror this. I'll mirror it that way, right click and come to enter that. So our blinding, let me just show you the dimensions. Our blinding is 1.2, and the column base is 1 meter, and our column is 400 millimeter by 400 millimeter. Let me just show you that. 400 millimeter by 400 millimeter. So all these dimensions will detail as you go on. Now we want to insert the rebars for the column. So how do we do that? We'll come to stirrup first. I'll select on the stirrup, and if you take a look on the bottom end here on the command line here, you'll be able to see you have been asked to specify the diameter in millimeters of the size of your steel bar. I'll just go on and feed 20 millimeter thick for my steel bar, and the cover I'll just retain it at 20, and I'm requested to pick the corner of my column. So I'll snap on that spot, click on that and drag it and leave it right there. So you can see I have my stirrup here. So I want to insert the vertical or the vertical steel bars here. Remember, this is just a sectional view of my column. Now I want to insert my vertical bars. So how do I do that? I'll come to section bars here and click on section bars. So once I've done that, I'm going to specify the size of my steel bar. Here I can feed 16. I can feed 16 millimeter. So my insertion point will be this spot. I'll snap on that spot and drag all the way to this far end here, and there we have our steel bars. I'll select all these, then come to mirror and enter that. So I want to mirror this in the opposite direction. So how do I do that? Let me just mirror that like that, right click and enter. I have that in place now. So I need another strand or a vertical bar in between these two. How do I do that? I'll just type line there by typing L and enter on my keyboard. Then mouse over this. Then I want to create a line from that spot. It's not accurate. Right click and come to line, repeat line. So I want to create a line from that spot. Let me just mouse over this and snap there accurately and come all the way to this spot here and try and snap right there. So I'll come here and type line once again and snap right at the middle of this line. Then I'll come here and delete this. So once I've deleted this, I'll come here and pick that bar and enter 16 and pick the point. I'll snap on that spot. So I have these rebars in place. So what do? I'll just select on this, then type MI, then I'll mirror this on this end. Right click and click enter. So I have this in place. So what I'm going to do from here, you can generate a bending schedule for this. So how do you do that? Once you've done that, we are going to do a bar marking for these bars. So remember, this is Y2. Let me just do this bar marking first. I select the bar marking and pick on this. So once I've done that, you can see pick insertion point. I'll pick my insertion point right there. So you have, this is Y20. You can see the die is 20, just one, and the length is 982 millimeter long. So if I double click here, you'll be able to see, you'll be able to change even the scale. Maybe you can change that to 20. We can bring that to 20 and I'll drag that next to that. So let me just double click it once again. So I'll give S spacing of 120 and a range of 1 meter. Then go ahead and click OK. So from here, I'm going to generate a bending schedule for these bars here. So I'll come to bending schedule. So once I've done that, I'll specify the insertion point. My insertion point will be here. So if I click my insertion point, you'll be able to see I have 9 of these bars. So you'll get to know when I start detailing it manually. If you detail it manually, it gives you a very clear, you'll understand everything I'm trying to say. So this is a bending schedule, for this. You'll be able to see how to bend this bar, how long we'll be able to bend this. This is how long and what is the size. So remember, as you continue adding in steel bars here, the more this bar bending schedule will continue to adjust itself. Now let's continue. Now let's move to the elevation of this. And prior to going to elevation of this, we have to show the cutting line that will be showing us how this has been sectioned. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to come here under by index. Remember, this is another macro that is very useful in AutoCAD. So I'll come here and come to symbols here, pick on symbols, and I want to pick on this symbol here. I frequently use this, so I'll just snap it right here. I'll place it right here. I'll place it right there, right click and enter. Let me just mirror that by pressing MI and enter that. I'll delete that by clicking yes. Let me just drag that down. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just type text. I'll enter text and I'm going to create, just type A right there and click enter. So I'm going to drag this A here. It's very small. It's very small, and I'll place it right here. I can't see it, but we are going to add another text. So I'll just type A. So I have my A here. I'll just come here and drag it, or double click on it, or instead of editing it, just scale it down. I'll just scale it down. Somewhere there. Select on it, come to move, and drag it and place it somewhere here. Still looks a bigger text, and we want to make it much smaller. This will be okay. And let me just drag it. Press undo, and let me just drag it. Remove it to that spot. So this is the section we have. Let me just mirror this at the other end, and I'll snap on that spot and we mirror that. Right click and enter. So I'll take this A this side. Right there. So we are going to get a sectional view of this plan. Remember, these bars, they're distributed at an interval of 120 millimeters, center to center all the way. Top and bottom bars distributed and with the same 120 millimeter interval. So let's see the sectional view of this. How does it look? So what we are going to do, we are going to use this base to generate our sectional view. So I'll come to L by tapping L right there and enter on my keyboard. So just mouse over this bottom end, don't click, just move it up and click it right there. Move this side and make sure it is in line with this. So the moment you mouse over this and move up, and you'll see it's snapping somewhere here, and just place it right there. So the moment you do that, our blinding is 100 millimeter. So let's continue doing that. Just type L and enter on your keyboard, then snap here, move up, type 100 millimeter, enter on your keyboard, move this side, and just mouse over here, over the end of this line, and don't click. We just need a guideline where to terminate this stop end line. So I'll mouse over here and snap there, then connect my line there. Now if I select this line, you'll be able to see these lines are selecting individually. So what we want to do, we want everything to be joined together. So just select everything like that, then on your keyboard just type join and enter. So if you mouse over this, you'll be able to see all the lines are getting selected. So we have blinding in place. So we need a hatching. And before we do a hatch on this, let's continue creating an elevation view of the column base. Just type L and enter on your keyboard first. Now, since this is our column base here, this line here you're seeing, this is our column base. So what we want to do, we want the column base and elevation view just to match. You just put your cursor on top of this line and don't click. Just move straight as long as you get a guideline all the way up here, and when you get on top of this line, click right there. So the height of our column base is 450 millimeter. Just type that and enter on our keyboard. Move this way and mouse over this end, and you'll be able to see you're snapping right there. So snap it right there. Then connect your line right there, right click and click enter. So we have our column base here. Let's move on and type L once again and mouse over this column. This is now the column itself, but the plan view of this. On the top view of the column, you'll be able to see the column, the base, and the blinding section. Now, I'll mouse over this. I'll mouse over here and move all the way up here and terminate it right there. So I'll click on that, then move up. So I'll give it something like 2 meters high, 2 meters high, and right click and terminate, or by clicking enter right there. So the moment you click on that, there's no need of doing the same thing here. What we're going to do, we are going to use an AutoCAD command called mirror. I'll select on that and type MI, then click OK. So we are going to mirror this line to the opposite direction. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to snap right at the middle of this line, then select that, then click on the direction you want. You see, if you come this side, it connects to your original line. You come this side, it connects once again. So just move your cursor around until that line is positioned into the direction you really intended it to be on. Now I want that line to be in that position. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to snap right here, then right click and click enter that. So what do we have? This is our column, and this column continues all the way to the utmost height of our building. So we want just to break this here. So how do you show that break line? We come to Express and under AutoCAD and come to Draw and pick break line symbol. I'll pick on that, then I'll snap on this spot, I'll snap on that spot, then right click on my mouse and that break line symbol will come. So we want to place our rebars for the column and the column base here, so that you can see them you can see them on the section on the section view. So we want to get rid of this. We want to trim off this middle line. So I'll select these two lines, right click and delete, and trim that off. So we are going to we want to see now the sectional view of these bars. These bars you're seeing here, how they have been distributed here. So remember, if we distribute it here this way, this way, this way, this way, it won't look really professionally done. So we normally place just 2 or 4 of them, just to give you an overview of what is happening here. So on the section view is where you'll be able to see the complete arrangement of these bars at the bottom of your column. Now I'll come to scroll to cross tie here and select on that. So the moment you activate that command or invoke that command, you'll be able to see the instruction coming at the bottom end here, to requesting you to specify the diameter of your rebar. So I'm going to use 20 millimeter thick. So I'm going to enter that instead of feeding a different dia. I'm going to enter to remain the same setting and enter that. The hook diameter, just check at the bottom end of the command line. You'll be able to see all the instructions being displayed, just to walk you through on what you're supposed to do. Now I enter that, then come here and specify where I intend to place my rebars. I'll start from that end, I'll try and stretch all the way to this far end and click it right there. So the direction of your rebar will depend on which side you've begun to lay your rebar. I'll do the same thing. I'll enter everything the way it was and pick it from this far end here all the way to this far end and enter it right there. So I'll select this slightly and drag it up slightly like that. That's how it looks. That will be the sectional view of this. So if this is cut, if I cut this, you'll be able to see this bar already in this direction. So we want to see these ones here. on a sectional view. How do you do that, and how do you display that? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select on section bars. So the moment I select on section bars, what I'm going to do, I'm going to specify the size, and I'll just retain the 20 millimeter and enter that, and I'm going to begin it right at this enter. And remember, when you mouse over this and you see the snapping is active, just mouse over your cursor until you don't see that snapping active. The moment you see active, the cursor will pick on that snap. So let me just mouse over this and start it right there and move all the way to this far end here. So I have my rebars here in place. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drag it slightly, and place it somewhere there. That will be okay. Now I'm going to select all this and come to mirror. I'll type my MI on my keyboard and snap here. I want to mirror that on top and select that, right click and click OK. So once I've done that, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to fix my column, the rebars on the column section. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to use this command rebar. So the moment I pick on that, I'll be able to specify the size of my rebars. I'm going to use Y16. Y16 is either round bar or twisted bars. So specifically in Africa we use Y. So Y for the twisted bars and R for the round bars. So let me just use the R or both, as long as you get the point clear. So let me just type 20 millimeter thick for my steel bar. I'll enter that. So I'll start my point from this far end here, from that spot, and move all the way to this bottom end here, just right over this section here, and snap on that end and move all the way to this end by 1 or 250 or 200 right there. I'll right click and come to enter. So if my line terminates at this far end, you can see you are seeing a sectional view of this bar, and you don't want to see that. To correct that, just double click on it. And come to edit bar and come to this section special end 1 and special end 2. Come to special end 2 and click none and click OK. So once that has been done, just right click on that bar, right click and come to move. So we pick it from this spot and give it a cover for the formwork. I'll type in the 40 millimeter and enter that. So once I've done that, I'll come to MI for mirror. Then I want to mirror this like that. Right click and come to copy or enter. So you see I have my rebars here. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to now place my stirrups. So how do I place my stirrups? Placing stirrups is just simple. What I'm going to do, just type line or L and enter on your keyboard. So just begin by creating another one here like that, just by line. Then this is our stirrup for this particular column. So I'm going to select on this. So once I select on that, we have a distribution of these bars of 200 center to center. What I'm going to do, I'll just right click once I've selected that and come to copy. So I'll pick it from this top and take it up by 200 millimeter. I'll enter on my keyboard, right click and come to enter. Right, select on that once again, right click and come to copy, pick it from this position here and enter it right there. Once you've done that, select on this, select on that, right click and come to copy, snap it here and take it all the way to that spot, and take it all the way to that spot, and to that spot, and to that spot, and to this spot, and extras will just get rid of. So this is a simple way you can see, or you can detail your rebars in AutoCAD with the help of some very important macros. So I've really not gone into details into deep end of this AutoRebar macro, but as we move on, I'll be able to show you how you can do rebar detailing in AutoCAD. So now let's start detailing this, describing what you're seeing. Now, this is the blinding. So we want to hatch this so that you see this actually a blinding. So I'll come to hatch and type enter. So we want to hatch this. So I'm going to click hatch, right click and click enter, but you can't see any hatch. Just because the reason is because our scale for the hatch is so big. So just select on the space you see, you'll be able to see something getting selected. So we want to play around with our hatch scale, and we can play with that until you see the number counting on inside the screen, until it reaches a point you're satisfied with what you see. So this is okay for me. This is our blinding. So our blinding is 100 millimeter thick. These are blinding, 100 millimeter thick. That's 100 millimeter thick. So the column base, this will be 440 millimeter. So that is how it looks. So let's start describing what we see on the screen here. Now, if you take a look on this hook here, this far end here, we want now to describe this, leave alone the auto description of these components. Maybe someone might not really understand what you're trying to describe, but I always prefer detailing it manually so that everyone is on the same page, so that you avoid so many questions by what is this for, and how did you get this. So let's just describe this or detail this manually, leave alone the auto description of the AutoRebar macro. So let me just type LE and enter on my keyboard, and we want to start detailing this. Let me just mouse over this and pull this up and bring it here and place it right there. Let me just select this and drag this aside. So once I pull that aside, I'll double click on this line because I don't want this type of labeling. I'll come here and change this arrow to a circular one, and select on that. So what I'm going to do is to start describing this. So this one is a twisted bar. Some people call it Y or R. So it is R20 or Y20. So how do you describe that? I'll pick up this text. And disable that auto mode and place it somewhere here. So I'm not happy with this kind of text. So I'll just continue describing whatever I intend to describe here, and changing that text will come later on. So this, how many will be arranged on this end? This way. This will be 5 of them. So I'll double click on this text to activate the text command. Now I need 5 R or Y20 right there in a span of 1.2. So I'll type in times 1.2 or 12 millimeter at an interval of 120 or 200. Let's just give it 120 or 150 millimeter. Center to center. So I'm going to type C stroke C, center to center. C stroke C means center to center, and I'll put a bar here to indicate that this is a top bar, a top T2 or top 2 bar. So I'll type T2, which means top, but the two tops. So I have this top 2. I'll show you. I don't know why I'm indicating it's the top T2. So we have a cover of 50 or 40 millimeter. So I'll enter on my keyboard here. So this has not been read as a text. This has not been read as a text. What I'm going to do, I'm going to convert this to text. I'll come to Express, and I'll come to text, and I'll come here and convert to text. I'll select on this and select on this, right click, and this will now be text. Let me just double click on it. Now once I'll double click on that, I'll come to that and enter and feed in my 40 millimeter cover for the cover, 40 millimeter for the cover. So I have that in place. So we want to describe this bar. So how do you do that? Just type L for arrow, then I'll try and snap here. You see, the moment I mouse over this, you're going to see a snap is coming this end, and I don't want that to interfere with what I'm trying to do. So I'll just snap right there, come all the way to that direction, and terminate it right here. So what I'm going to do, I'll just right click and come to move and drag it slightly to point on that bar. So I want this to match this to look like this. I'll come here to match property, just type MA, select on this, and select on that. So I'll pick this text. I'll pick that text, just copy, don't move, just copy it from this section and place it right there. Let's just drag this slightly out so that it looks more professionally done. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to describe this as a bottom 1. So what will change here, just this, because this is square, this is 1.2, this is 1.2, and the same distribution center to center. So the description will remain the same. So I'll come here and double click on this and type here bottom 2 right there, and the 40 millimeter cover for the formwork. Now we'll come this side. If you come this side, just type LE for the leader. So I'll pick on this. I'll pick on this bar and come all the way and bring it all the way to this end and terminate it right here. But I want it to look similar to the others. So what I'm going to do, just match that, select on this and select on that. So I'm going to pull this, copy this from that spot and bring it all the way to this end here. So this will be my top 1. Same description, center to center. This will be my top 1 with the 40 millimeter cover. And this one here, let me just describe that. And this one here, and this one here will be my bottom 1. Same description. So there's some sort of a mix up here. Let me just bring this down slightly and bring this down slightly somewhere there. So that is correct. So let me come here and drag this. Just drag this down slightly. So we have to bottom 1 here. So the same thing will apply on top here. We'll pick on this. Let's disable this first. we'll pick on this member, on this bar, right there. Just activate that. We pick on that. Just type match property and select on that and select that. So this is our top one. This will be our top one. Let me just highlight that. The top two you're seeing here, this will be our top two. The top two. This is the top one. This is the top two. So the moment you label top one and you label bottom two, you don't need to indicate or show that the bottom one and bottom two and top two. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pick on this, right click and come to copy and pick on that spot and move all the way to that spot. Then come at the bottom end here, type LE and pick on the bottom two. Snap on that spot and just make sure everything is in line. Correct. Match property and enter that. And I want to copy this. I want this to match with this. Right click and you can see that. So this is top two and this is bottom one. Let me just show you clearly what I really mean here. So this will be a bottom one. This will be bottom one. So what I'm just going to pick on this text and come here and snap on that spot and move all the way and snap it here. That will be bottom one. So the moment I show you top two and the bottom one, you'll be able to now judge by yourself. Now, since you have top two and bottom one, now this will be bottom two and this will be top one. Correct. So if you come here, you'll be able to show, just come to LE, I'll be able to indicate whether this is a stirrup and what size of steel bar has been used. I'll come all the way and make sure that is in line, select there and press escape to terminate that line. I'll come to match property. I'll enter match property, and since I want this to be similar to that, right click and enter. I'll come here and select the same text because I want my text to be the same size right there, and select on that. So I'm going to feed in or describe the stirrups here. I'll just double click on this text because I want to retain this text. So I'll come here and the stirrups will be 6 millimeter. 6 millimeter stirrups at 150 millimeter or 150 millimeter center to center. So that is the description of that. So if I bring this symbol here and copy it here and place it somewhere there, and mirror that, I'll just type MI, enter that, and we don't need this anymore now. We'll delete that. What you need is just this text, and you'll place it right there. So what to do, we want to mirror this far end. So what I'm going to do is just to come here and mirror that, right click and enter, and bring this far end. So once you bring this far end here, you enter that. So this will be the top view. This will be the top view, of this. So this will be BB. Type B here, you type B there, and you type B here. So generally, this will be a section AA. Select on that and bring it somewhere here. So we'll double click on this and type section or section AA. Double click on that, then come to Express, convert this to text. Double click on that, write section AA, and you underline that. Come to move, make sure you are in straight line, and this will be our section AA, because if we cut this will be our section AA. So this will be this plan will be our section BB. So I'll come to section AA, select on that, and bring it down here and place it somewhere here and type section BB. Section BB. Correct. So if I drag it like that, you'll be able to see that. So this is what we have. If I pull this closer, you can see how long we've moved. So this is how you can detail. If you're a learner in rebar detailing, I think this will be a very good start for you. So this is not complete. And just due to time, we wanted to cut it off here and move on part 2. So thanks a lot for watching this, and keep watching or keep checking on the next tutorial, and you'll be able to learn more about rebar detailing in AutoCAD using AutoRebar tool, and also I'll be able to highlight on a different tool that can help you detail very fast, do detailing of rebars in AutoCAD. Thanks a lot, and let's meet then. Bye bye, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I'm Morris Dimba. Thank you.